welcome to the Casual Nerdcast. I'm your host, Justin, and returning from a brief departure, Andrew.
My new room! Yay!
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 And joining us as per usual, Amel.
I like your room, Andrew.
Thank you.
And Evan.
Room's a travesty. Why the fuck is it white? Door's like, what's wrong with you?
So
God.
racist.
That's racist, Evan.
If I was being racist, I said it should have been yellow.
All right.
You ask for racism, you get racism. Anyways.
All right. So to first off, we would like to apologize to us communicating our understanding of FreeSync, as the day of our recording is when they decided to release more information regarding FreeSync. Thanks to one of our diligent commenters on our video, I think his name is Comics, Camix. You guys can read that up to your own interpretation. So he provided us with a, I don't know. He provided us with a link, which is basically an FAQ to FreeSync. I'll probably put the link in the description below, or top, or wherever YouTube decides to move it. So
Point everywhere. Do it.
yeah. So it seems like for the most part we weren't wrong. I think it was. I think Evan, you probably know this the best since you are a really big fan of this new upcoming technology.
So the way that I explained it before was just kind of it's a software solution versus a hardware solution. That's kind of what we stated before, and I'm not. So it's a little bit more proprietary than we initially explained. The way that I explained before was that it's completely open to everyone, which is not correct. This FreeSync is going to be only available in monitors that have the 1.2A DisplayPort plug, right? So it's a VESA standard, so it's hopefully going to be standard. It's probably going to be standard across all 1.2A DisplayPorts.
Yeah, it's
but
way better than the 1.1.
Yeah. So but even with that, it's still going to require a decent amount of software on AMD's part, right? So it still requires it is a hardware solution. So what we stated before was that it doesn't matter what monitor you buy, you're going to be able to use FreeSync. That's not true.
The minimum requirements.
Yeah, and this also still requires that NVIDIA supports it, right? So it's not just something that's going to work, period, right? Like AMD right now guarantees that all of their current cards, so the R9 290 series, and the R9 series, sorry, I always forget what to call that series, because there's like R8
R9.
and R7, whatever.
R9. R9 is the right word.
R series.
Yeah, because isn't
The
there like
R
R7
series.
for the non-enthusiast?
R7 is
Whatever.
range. R9 is like
Yeah. So anyways, any of their current cards will support it. There's probably a better list. I actually shouldn't say any. But there's a list online if you want to check. So you have to have, right now you have to have an AMD card and you have to have DisplayPort 1.2. AMD says that they want to get this out sometime soon, but I've heard a lot of people kind of guesstimate that we're not going to see it for maybe another year or two. I know we keep on quoting Linus Tech Tips, but they actually have they do a good amount of talk about this in their recent WAN episode, which is really cool. If you want to hear more about it, I suggest you go look at it.
Another thing we will add to the description.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just gonna make you like. By the way, I'm gonna quote everything and make you just post
Add all
crazy
the
amount of
links.
links.
And you know what? Now we're a dictionary.
Sources.
Yeah.
We're a dictionary. We're a consolidated dictionary.
So the biggest mistake that we made earlier was saying how open FreeSync is, when in reality it's not. It is more open than G-Sync because FreeSync is going to be a open standard that anybody can just jump in on, and if they choose to support it, they can. While NVIDIA's G-Sync is a closed standard, and if NVIDIA doesn't want AMD to be able to use it, then AMD flat out can't use it. Even if NVIDIA doesn't want Intel to use it, Intel can't even use it, right? Well, with FreeSync, it looks like pretty much anybody can. I mean, I don't know if they have to pay anything or something like that.
I'm actually reading the difference between how is Project FreeSync different from NVIDIA G-Sync. And they say 3 key advantages. No licensing fees for adoption,
Okay.
no expensive proprietary hardware modules, and no communication overhead.
But there's
Yeah.
still minimal requirements.
Yeah.
they're well, the minimum requirement is you better have like a graphic card of some
I guess the
kind.
minimum requirement is your graphics.
PC
Yes.
and a monitor.
Damn it! I wanted to use it without a monitor.
I guess the minimum requirements.
If they didn't put that there, though, if they didn't put the minimum requirements, they might get sued.
It's true.
What was the last one though, Justin?
Foreshadow.
Out of the 3 points?
No communication overhead.
How so?
Hey, I don't work for AMD, man. I'm just reading.
Right, I'm just asking around in case anyone knows more about this than I
I
do.
have no clue
From
that
what I
means.
understand, because it's a software solution and not a hardware solution, they don't have to add things to the packets being sent across. Right? Because the GPU
Fair.
and the G-Sync module and G-Sync have to speak to you. This is
Oh.
this is literally me just going, how would I do it? Oh, I guess if you have a hardware solution, you
Yeah,
need
yeah.
this. I'm not 100% sure.
Right.
But that makes sense to me.
It's the G-Sync chip would still have some latency, however little that may be, is what they're probably saying.
Yeah, and you know it's all software overhead, so your CPU is going to be handling most of it.
Exactly.
While with G-Sync, it's going to be the G-Sync module and your graphics card that are using
Right.
this. And that's
The
it.
point of that is to free up your CPU, but I mean,
Well, there's pros and cons to both. I mean, your CPU doesn't get used much when you're playing games,
True.
anyways.
true.
But either way, does this? I mean, I know a lot of us were kind of G-Sync heavy last episode. I mean, I know Andrew, you weren't here, but does this change your opinions at all? I mean,
Actually-
now before.
Oh,
Sorry?
yeah. Sorry. Finish.
I mean, before we were saying that it's completely open. Now it is fairly obvious that both syncing things do require some sort of hardware component.
Yes.
AMD's is cheaper and will be more available.
Mainstream, because DisplayPort 1.2 is all you need, right?
But there also is complete potential that Nvidia decides to completely ignore this and just continue with G-Sync and not support it with their graphics cards.
What's wrong with that though? If they don't support FreeSync, because then they're still locked to the G-Sync monitors, which is very
Yeah.
exclusive. I see.
And then they're basically refusing to. It's going to create this because I don't know
rift.
if you guys were buying graphics cards and stuff. It wasn't. I don't think most of us had to deal with this, but back a long time ago with AMD and AMD and Nvidia,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
whatever, and there was huge differences in terms of what you got with each card, right? So it was like, oh yeah, if I'm getting Nvidia, then I'm going to get this set of stuff. If I get AMD, it's going to be this set of stuff. The past 3 years have been really good in terms of literally just buy whichever one is
Yep.
cheap, right? Like there's really no difference other than the branding and if you have any, sway towards one or the other.
Right.
But now it's starting to really change again, where if you get Nvidia, you get Shadowplay, you get G-Sync, you get
GameStream.
the Nvidia experience. Yeah, GameStream. If you get Radeon, then you get Mantle. Apparently, you're gonna get FreeSync.
Well,
Gaming evolved. Woo!
Yeah, and then it's really
The
becoming
software
that again.
solution.
So back to the original question: does this change your opinion about whether you think G-Sync or FreeSync will do better, or which one you want? I guess.
It depends on how well. I mean, if AMD is saying there's no licensing fees, then I'm assuming basically Nvidia is open to use it. So
Yeah.
not swaying me to buy an AMD card at all, because I mean, I get best of both worlds. I can either, if I like G-Sync, I'll get G-Sync. If I like FreeSync, then I'll just use it. It sounds like that if it wasn't as free as I thought it would, because it's some of the more new monitors coming out that are 21:9. Like I previously mentioned that I was really excited about FreeSync because I was hoping to just use those monitors and use whatever connection. But now that I'm not sure if the monitor I'm looking at is ready for this. So now it's like,
If you're still thinking of the monitors that you were thinking of when we were talking, it doesn't.
yeah, exactly. So
The UM34.
the LG.
Yeah,
Okay.
the ultra wide LG.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, it really depends on if G-Sync can really deliver versus FreeSync. Now,
Right.
I don't know. Judging from having a hardware to hardware connection to kind of communicate between the two, because it makes sense for the receiving end to be changed for a better communication between the monitor and the graphics card. It makes sense for G-Sync to do better than FreeSync. But it's also interesting to see that, even if it's, what are my words are escaping me today. So like all I'm trying to say is that it's interesting to see that FreeSync is still going to be trying on a new standard, but I still think that G-Sync is probably going to do better. But I think FreeSync might just catch on just because it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. It's going to be like FreeSync will be the standard, but G-Sync will be like Battlefield Premium basically. It's there if you want it, but I mean FreeSync is always the option. But it just depends on like how well the two are going to be doing.
Right. And I think for me, I'm kind of along the same lines because earlier I was like, oh my god, I need an NVIDIA card. But I mean, other than the whole G-Sync thing, I'm happy with my AMD card. It does whatever I want it to, and I'm thinking of a 1440p monitor. My 270X could still take anything I throw at it. The only thing is if that 1440p monitor is G-Sync or not. Now, I don't have my faith in FreeSync yet because I haven't seen anything. We've just seen those couple of articles and what Evan's told us. So I need to see it in action before I make my decision. Obviously, I'm not making any decision anytime soon anyway.
And the issue being is that you can't really upload a video to, really test that. You literally have to be there to kind of see it.
I mean, being able to see demo models or even read reviews from like people like Linus, who we keep quoting, which is perfectly fine. No, like I mean, being able to see a demo model in like a Canada Computer Store because we're Canadian.
It's okay. One day we'll have the funds to go to CES. One day.
That's true too. So yeah, to answer your question, Evan, I'm not sold on it yet, but it's definitely more promising because that means I don't have to buy a new card, and that's great. That's more money I can spend on a monitor because I would love to get a new monitor.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Andrew?
So out of all of us, I'm probably the least like PC tech savvy. So the last 15 minutes have literally just been words that mean like that have no meaning to me. And I'm just sitting here being like, yep.
Just say G-Sync. Just say G-Sync.
I'm actually more of a fan of the K-Sync. It's just got some features that the other two don't have. It's the graphics and the resolution TTIs are actually pretty good.
So
I'll probably, to be honest, what'll happen is once these monitors are more common, I'll ask Evan about it, and he'll give me a very simple explanation, and I'll be like, cool, I'll just get that one.
Okay, fair enough.
It was on sale.
It was on sale, and Evan said so. That's very important.
Yeah, it was good.
So when is 1.2 going to be pushed as a standard?
So the VESA accepted it as a standard. Nobody really knows. The guy on our podcast, the guy that quoted commented said 2014 Q4, 2015 Q1. But I've heard since last week, I've heard a lot of things. Like I've heard people quote 2 years. I've heard like 2 years was the longest that I've heard, which is really kind of shitty because I mean, G-Sync's here now. Like as much as it should have been here about 6 months ago, it's out now. Like the RG Swift is going. It's supposed to be releasing next month, right? Like, so they're kind of they're kind of late to market at that point. To me, I also wonder if NVIDIA is kind of doing we think that this should be a standard, so let's kickstart stuff together so that AMD has to fight us, and then we'll find something better to land on. I don't know. We'll see.
Wholly possible.
I'm still. If this is going to do anything, I think it's going to stop monitor sales for the next 8 months, because unless you know what graphics card you're going to buy, don't buy a monitor.
Yeah,
right?
basically that's
Or
right.
buy a monitor for the sake of buying a monitor, not for the sake of buying FreeSync or a G-Sync monitor.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? I wouldn't even argue that, because I mean, if FreeSync's going to come out in 8 months and it's just going to be a DisplayPort thing. I mean, granted, DisplayPort monitors are fairly expensive, but they're getting down there. I mean, I wouldn't, unless you need a monitor now. I might as well just say like, hey, just wait that time. You're going to get something that's going to give you a hands down better experience. But there's tons of different situations. I mean, I generally hate saying that because I always fall into that situation where it's like, it's like, oh, if I wait for the new graphics card, wait, now new RAM's coming out. Oh wait, now a new CPU's. Oh wait, now a new motherboard's coming out. Like, just
happens with pretty much everything now in tech. I had a Nexus S. I waited till the Nexus 4 because I was like, oh, I should wait. And even then, I was like, do I need it? I don't need it. I should wait for the next one. It just, no, you want it? Go get it.
Yeah, if you have the money, go get it. But I worry that we're gonna get into a situation like I stated before, where if I'm going to buy NVIDIA, then I'm going to buy a G-Sync monitor, which means that my next graphics card is going to be NVIDIA, which means that my next monitor might as well be G-Sync, which means that my next graphics...
Right.
Like, I'm going to get locked into an NVIDIA or AMD thing. Granted, me personally, I've already pretty much been locked into an NVIDIA cycle forever.
Yeah.
Whenever I want a new graphics card, it tends to be that I look online and NVIDIA goes, hey, we're releasing new graphics cards next month. And I go, all right, cool, those ones. But we'll
and you make that face too every time.
Yeah, done.
Oh, no,
all right.
okay.
All right, cool.
All right, bend and spread, right? Bend and spread. Oh yeah. I don't know. I Sorry.
I have to pay my rent, but I guess I have to buy this instead. Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna post my new. I'm doing a build log on the website, and I'm gonna post my new system versus my old system, and I'm probably gonna get a ton of comments like, "What the fuck? Why are you upgrading?" I don't know. I really don't know.
You said 2 podcasts ago, because you're crazy and you must have the absolute best of everything.
I guess, I don't know.
It's a good enough reason, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, so G-Sync FreeSync, it's really interesting. Sorry we messed up, but I hope this clears things up.
All right. So moving on, no article to show this time because I mean everyone kind of knows it's well established. PlayStation Now went into open beta. Basically, I believe last week, sometime Thursday, Friday-ish. And it's interesting because it's going right up against EA Access, which was recently announced. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this now future of, I guess, game streaming service kind of thing? And would you guys prefer EA Access's model of giving you free games and then purchasing other games at a slight discount? Or are you with more of PlayStation Now, where you can kind of rent games and then, purchase them if you want something more permanent?
I believe last time, although Andrew wasn't here, the consensus was pretty much fuck EA Access, for the most part.
Oh, you guys talked about EA Access last week?
I think
a little bit.
You didn't watch the episode?
No,
How could you do this, man? First off, first he's not a PC gamer. Then he doesn't watch our fucking episodes. What are you doing?
I didn't know how to get to it. I was like,
I don't know how to YouTube. I don't know how to YouTube at all.
Anyway, in all seriousness, yeah, we briefly mentioned it. Andrew.
We briefly mentioned it, but we never really brought up PlayStation Now, and I think that's we brought up the PlayStation Plus.
Yeah,
but we didn't really bring up PlayStation Now, which is now that we have it basically has different methods of purchasing. So you can either buy it for 4 hours, 1 day, 1 week, and then 1 month and 3 months or something along those lines. And this is it's not game time at all. It's actual time blocks.
Yeah, so what happened was they're all sitting at their office and they're like, all right, we gotta beta this PlayStation Now service. Let's make sure that none of it makes sense at all.
Yeah.
It was a game for 4 hours.
Four hours. Yeah, for PlayStation 3 months is basically half the price of a game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 90 days. It's weird. Go buy it. It's an interesting.
Wait. So if I pay for 90 days, am I only paying for it of one game?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not just getting access to the entire library for 90 days.
They are claiming that there's going to be a subscription model coming out. I have no information regarding that right now.
They said, yeah, so this actually kind of is, we talked about a couple weeks ago, the difference between a beta and a demo and how that's kind of skewed. This actually kind of is a beta, where they're kind of just throwing everything at the wall. Different games have different price settings and stuff.
Well, they announced it like a year ago, and then we haven't heard anything about it at all.
Yeah. Oh, they've been thinking about this since they bought Gaikai for like $2 billion.
This was supposed to be released with the PS4, pretty much, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
No. It's not for the PS4. It's also on like basically every Sony product.
Yeah, I know. But this was their answer to we don't have backwards compatible. Our PS4 isn't backwards compatible.
Right.
This was their answer, as far as I know.
I believe so. Yeah, and I don't know. It seems like if having it for 3 months is about, I guess depending on the game, almost half the price of a game, I think it's safe to say that they're probably moving on a subscription model of maybe like $45-$50 a month. Is that a bit too?
If that would be.
But that's unlimited games, though. I'm assuming that's my hypothetical.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's unlimited old games.
That's true too.
That's my.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I PlayStation now has a whole library of, I don't know, I haven't seen the library, so have you guys checked it out at all or no?
Yeah, I've looked at it. I think the thing for it is this is an answer to backwards compatibility. This is also an answer to like there are a bunch of people who played on the Xbox or whatever, and they didn't play the PlayStation 3, and now this is our way of making money. You guys can go back and sort of play. And as much as I make fun of them for this, like the 1 week, a lot of them have like 1 week. That one, typically, the price seems pretty good to me for most of the games.
It's like $10 or something, right?
Something like that. It's
I think it varies for the game.
Yeah, each game, like one game could be like $9.99. The other game for the same time period could be like $6.99. So there isn't much of a standard yet, but like I feel like a week-long rental isn't a bad deal for a lot of these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it'll be interesting to see what the PlayStation Now subscription is going to be, because I mean, $5 a month with the EA Access, that's for four games that are like at least a year old. That's about it tops.
Well, do you guys have any? My biggest issue that I can think of with this is streaming. I don't like when somebody says streaming, especially when I rented, because with Netflix, I'm paying $8 a month or $10 now. I don't actually pay for it. My parents do, and I just use their account.
If you have an $8 account, you keep an $8 account, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, so Netflix, you pay X dollars a month, and I have access to this stuff, period, right, for that month.
Yeah.
With this, if I rent a game for, say, $10 for a week, right, and my internet connection goes out for 3 days or something like that, which has happened to me, right? For as expensive as this is, that kind of worries me a lot. Does that worry you guys?
Yeah, that's they can't really address it, to be honest. I don't know how they would be able to address it at all. Mostly because they if they were like, oh man, I really want to play this game, but I have like an assignment to do, just gonna unplug my PS4. It's like, I don't know. I do understand your concern that there are technical issues that are completely out of your hand, but it's kind of hard to address that. And I think
at the same time, it's out of their hand as well. It's kind of like saying, like, if you're going to buy a car, you're like, oh, but someone might hit my car.
No, but I mean, so there's something that EA Access definitely benefits over that in this regard, and same with something like PlayStation Plus, where I have these games, and I only have these games while my account's active.
Yeah.
Right. So, but these games are downloaded to my system, right? So they are by all intents and purposes as any other game I would own. It's just that I'm essentially paying, $30 to $50 a year to play them, right? I don't see why.
It's like you're renting the game for an unlimited period of time, as long as you keep paying.
Because I mean, since they have such proprietary software, I don't really understand why they couldn't have just been like, oh yeah, you rent a game for a week, and then after the week it just goes off of your account, right? Because with PlayStation Plus, they obviously have some sort of system of key generation and swapping or something like that, right?
That would make sense.
That doesn't. I don't see why they're going with streaming. I guess maybe these games. Wait, no. These are PS3 games. They won't run on PS4.
Oh, right. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so I guess these games just flat out can't run.
So this is legacy streaming in like an emulator, basically. Or,
no, I think PlayStation Now is for the PS4.
Yeah, it is, but so the reason why they're streaming is because they probably have a crazy server
Oh,
farm of
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
PS3
They probably
somewhere.
have like a super PS3 or something like server running from somewhere. It's like Nvidia's game
It's just
stream.
a giant PS3.
It's
Yeah.
basically Nvidia's game stream, except it's the server is a
Game stream's in the
lot
same
further
host, and it's all
away.
based on my network though, and it doesn't have to connect to the internet, which makes it so much awesomer.
It's like Steam family sharing too. Sorry, Steam home streaming, exact same thing.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about is literally streaming the game from offsite. Origin does that too, with their web browser demos. Like you can play Mass Effect 3 in your browser, exact same thing. You're not the one rendering it; they are.
Yeah.
Right?
Really?
Is that what we're talking about here?
I think that's that. As far as I know, that's what this is. That's what
Yeah.
it's always seemed like to me, and I never really. It didn't click until now. I don't know why they have
Right.
to do it that way. But I guess I don't like that. I don't
Yeah.
like game streaming. I don't like having a time on a game that's streaming.
I agree, but
I
at the
think
same
that's-
time, this is kind of where things are headed. Like they're doing it because everyone else is doing it, in some way or other. They may have kind of upped the ante a little bit,
I
the
feel like we
people-
already have a better way of doing this though.
meaning
That's-
download the games, keep them if you
Yeah,
bought them, sort of thing.
Like PlayStation Plus is phenomenal. I-
PS Plus, right?
Yeah, like they already have something like that's this, but better. I mean, I know it doesn't necessarily feel the exact same thing, but I guess I'm just not the market again. Because I have PlayStation Plus. I have no reason to ever use this.
Yeah,
Right.
for the most part, that's true. And I think it's more so the market is for those who are interested in really playing super legacy games that are absolutely impossible to get, like, classic Mega Man games or classic Metal Gear Solid. The other thing is also it's also available to other Sony products. So, your Sony Smart TV, allegedly the smart tablet, Sony phone or tablet or something. They want to be able to kind of push this to like any kind of device,
Right.
so that you can kind of game. So, but I mean, that's the roadmap, and they're kind of just starting at the PS4 right now. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I think for personally, I think it's kind of it's not coming from the Sony Entertainment, pushing for this plan. I think it's more so Sony Entertainment kind of helping the other Sony products from failing, because as far as I'm aware, Sony's not doing so well everywhere else. I think it's just like,
Mhm.
here you go. Now your smart TV can play PS3 2 and 1 games for
Yeah.
like pretty cheap prices. But I mean, the same issue also occurs when your internet cuts out. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, but also like any good company will, especially a company that's successful in the present, will want to be like sort of trying to future proof their company, and they'll throw like 3 different darts about what could potentially be the future, and 2 of them will miss, but as long as one of them hits, they can still function as a company in the future. I think this is them sort of, especially because this is coming out of their purchase of Gaikai, which is like an online streaming gaming service.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
This was around the time of OnLive, and that was like a really big hype. People were sort of talking about during like the PS3, like Xbox 360 era, like, oh, like,
This replace consoles and stuff.
yeah, like the console war is ending. Like, it's just going to be one box, and everyone will, which people are still kind of talking about now. I don't really see it happening in the next 10 years or anything.
Right.
But it could. Maybe this is the last console generation. But this
Well,
is sort
OnLive-
of them.
OnLive failed
Yeah.
hard, right? Like
Yeah,
that's another thing that worries me about streaming, is that it's like, if I don't, because whenever they I mean, this isn't on live. Let's get that clear. But whenever they showed on live, they would always be like cooked directly into the PC or whatever. There were so many issues where, just say I was far away from a server farm. Now I'm going to have ridiculous latency
Mhm.
because it's trying to send, these ridiculous 720, even 10. Is this 720p or 1080p? Anybody know? Because OnLive would have issues with 720p, right? Like 720p audio, like game files at a constant rate of probably 30 frames a second. It's quite a bit of data coming into your home, right? Like that's
Particularly
just-
with the current data caps we've all got, fucking North America.
and
Yeah,
just
and also this is North America too. Yeah.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Canada, we have pretty good internet here, but it's nothing. Just because it's so big.
Could be
Well,
better.
like comparatively, some places.
Let's all go to
Yeah.
Korea.
yes,
like,
just
yeah, like
Somalia.
South Korea,
we have better
Japan.
internet than Somalia.
So yeah, and so I guess
Thankful.
So after outlining all this, does that? I think there's some heavy criticism under PlayStation Now. Like, if you had to choose between the two, where would you lean?
To be honest, like I think I might like try out a rental or two on PlayStation Now, just to play some like old PS3 games that I never played. EA Access, I still don't fully understand. I'm not too big into the EA games either, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I like the idea. I like what they're doing. I like how they're trying to sort of. This is sort of like the same kind of thing like for like their what was it? You have to buy like a multiplayer code, if you bought a game. This is sort of like their way of like combating used game sales, I guess. But this is a lot more consumer friendly, and I like that they are one of the. It's surprising to me that they're one of the first. Companies to try something pretty innovative.
And like arguably, I think the top three publishers are EA, Ubisoft, and Activision. And I'd be interested to see if Ubisoft and Activision follow suit with this.
Oh yeah, they're watching this very closely, I bet for sure.
I still think my third theoretical option. I like it. Give me that one. I liked that one.
Yeah.
I
the third one.
The one where just say I pay $150 a year.
Oh yeah.
Towards Ubisoft or something, and then
like
they give me
everything.
Yeah, and then they give me all their new games. Right?
Everything.
And while my subscription's active, I have access to those games. If it's not, they go away. Basically, PlayStation Plus, but for new games. I that's something that would interest me. None of this does at all.
Right.
I have no need whatsoever to do these things. Right? I don't know. I would rather just pay a subscription fee to a company and have PlayStation Plus type thing happen, right?
I think there's a service called Loot Box where you basically pay monthly to get like a random bunch of cool stuff. Could you imagine like if we were able to like if publishers were like, okay, so you pay $100 a year or whatever, but you get like games sent to you.
Just randomly?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes it's great you get Dragon Age. Sometimes you get Naughty Bear.
Peggle 2.
Peggle 2.
Oh, Peggle 2. I like the idea of subscription model based. I don't see them giving out their new games, especially with how expensive games are to produce.
Well, that's the thing. There would have to be a price would have to be found, and maybe it's you pay $150 and you get to pick 4 games or something, right?
Yeah, it might be something like that. Or they might do what the EA Access thing is. You get a discount with this membership on new games. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of a subscription.
The thing I don't like about EA Access is that if I get a discount on these games, I potentially am paying $30 a year for nothing, right?
That's true.
I don't know. Which I don't like, but
you make it all back by buying all the EA games at discount, basically.
I know. I mean, granted it's EA, so there's probably going to be a game in a year that comes out that I want, but I don't like the idea of that I'm potentially paying for nothing. Yeah. Right? At least with PlayStation Now, I guess I'm getting something.
Quick correction, it's not Loot Box, it's Loot Crate.
And there's also Nerd Box, or there's a couple of them.
There's some for dogs too.
Loot Crate's kind of
just want dogs shipped to you randomly.
You get a new dog every month?
Like dog? No, it comes with like you'll get a free new dog every month. It comes with like dog and crates. Like I know that there's a market. Like there's a lot of different kinds of these loot box things.
Yeah.
Which are pretty cool.
All right, let's move on to something still Sony related and a bit more ridiculous. Someone is suing Sony because a PS4 game isn't 1080p.
Okay, to be fair, they marketed it as being 1080p.
Yes, that is true. Right. It's still okay. Here's the story. So the lawsuit is for $5 million.
Oh, jeez.
It's against Sony, and it's because the multiplayer mode in the PS4 game Killzone Shadowfall doesn't run at native resolution of 1080p. The guy noted that according to Sony, Killzone was a graphically striking game, claimed that it's supposed to run at 1080p, both in single player and multiplayer. However, after the game's release, gamers quickly noticed and complained that Killzone's multiplayer graphics were blurry to the point of distraction.
Oh, jeez.
The cause of this blurriness went unknown until a well-respected video game website reported that Killzone's multiplayer did not actually provide 1080p graphics as advertised. GG. Following this discovery, Sony released an official statement on the matter. In it, Sony admitted that it did not, in fact, design Killzone to display multiplayer graphics in 1080p, but instead used a technological shortcut that was supposed to provide subjectively similar results. Thoughts?
It's like I've already made it known. Like I don't really care about resolution stuff too much. I appreciate why other people do, and like I can, like on paper, I understand the lawsuit. It's like company marketed products, bought products. Product was not as marketed. So like that's. But at the same time, it just doesn't make sense, you know?
See, on
Andrew's dad.
Andrew's dad,
Hello.
nice.
So, yeah, exactly. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's laughable, to be honest.
In my opinion, okay, so there's two sides of me saying both things at the same time. Sony deserves to get sued because, you know, they've been pushing for 1080p for so long, and then, you know, everyone's saying 1080p this, 1080p that. You know, it's all of a sudden it's like a big numbers game, and then Xbox is like, oh, almost 1080p, we got 900p, and then like all the other stuff. And then so like I think the fact that Sony kept bragging all their games are gonna be at 1080p at 60 FPS, then every game journalist said like, oh yeah, look at this 1080p at 60 FPS versus Xbox's not 1080p at 60 FPS. Ooh, you know, I think it's finally time for, you know, Sony to be like, hey, you know what, stop it. Like we know how much it can do, and you know it looks great, but don't try to, you know, kind of skew your words. But like, here's the other me saying, it's multiplayer. When I look for a graphically enticing experience, I usually go with single player. Most of the time I've noticed that multiplayer has a graphical downgrade more or less because there's a lot more factors happening. I mean, you got, you know, in single player you only have one player interacting, and the graphics like, you know, the objects in the game correspond according to that. But when it comes to, you know, multiplayer, you know, I tried designing a multiplayer game this past year, and it's hell. I would know. It's graphics are insane. It's the last thing you're worried about. In fact, if you want like a smooth experience, you want to be, you know, rendering at a less graphically enticing kind of specification, right? You want to be, or intensive. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. So I don't know, like I can tell that, you know, and for most people, that if you're going to be playing a multiplayer game, you're going to be focusing mostly on gameplay. It seems a bit ridiculous to be suing for a multiplayer that doesn't deliver at 1080p, but at the same time, they're advertising it like crazy at 1080p. So I can't decide which side to take, the game developer side of me or the gamer side of me. It's just like, you know, they're just crashing in together.
Being a fellow game developer, I'd like to play a bit of devil's advocate here. They advertised it as such. They flat out lied to everyone, ever. I don't care if they're game developers. I'm one too. So is Evan, for the most part. And, as in, yeah, we all know the basics. We all know the basics of how this stuff works out, right? The difference is, these guys have a AAA budget, a AAA studio, AAA artists, and AAA materials with which to make it.
Also to note, they are making it on only one platform.
Yes! So, it's not cross-platform at all!
So I think we can all agree here that if the game was not advertised at 1080p, this would not have happened at all.
Probably not, yeah.
Right? Like, if it wasn't advertised as being, oh yeah, you know, it's going to be 1080p throughout the entire game, this nothing would have happened from this, right? It would have just been like, oh, okay, yeah, it's lower in multiplayer, that makes sense. Journalists would have been like that. I mean, it makes sense to Justin, you, Emil, me, like, yeah, it will be less. It will have lower graphics in
It's sort of
multiplayer.
similar to what was it? I was playing the Battlefield 3 or 4, I forget. It might have been 3. Sorry, not playing, watching the trailer in which they show this dude being dragged away. And I was like, wow, you could do that? They never said you can or can't. It's one scripted sequence in the game. Everyone went apeshit. Multiplayer comes out just another generic first-person shooter. No complaints. They didn't advertise it.
Yeah.
That there's going to be body movement and interaction with other players with QuickTime events, because there isn't. Likewise, if they hadn't said it and just kind of subtly showed 1080p gameplay at E3 or whatever, I'm sure the crowd would have gone crazy, and then this happens. Meh.
Yeah.
Considering most of Xbox One titles run at what, 792p or 900p, as Justin said.
Whatever kind of P they want.
All the P.
All right, here's to make things even worse. Check out the link I just sent you guys. I'm just gonna show them what.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's too hard to see. Oh no, never mind. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So even on the box, even on the box,
time, like at the same time, it's this is a video game. So what's like you mentioned, what's important is the game fun? Is it?
See, but this isn't an argument about whether the game's fun or not. This is literally just false advertising. Right?
Okay, but then again, if we're talking if you want to get into the nitty gritty of false advertising, it doesn't say anywhere HD video output in single and multiplayer. It just says HD video output. If you want to get into the semantics of law, it doesn't even mention it's going to be H for 60% of the experience or blah 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 blah. I don't know. To me,
technically you're right.
So
you're right.
Worked up about, especially if you want to talk about how a company works, this isn't. I don't like it when people say they're flat out lying, because it insinuates that all right, we're gonna get in our meeting and we all know it's not 1080p, but we're gonna lie so that to me what sounds more probable is a bunch of video game developers who are just man, I gotta code all these guns and rocks and shit, and they're
nobody's gonna notice.
We want this we know that 1080p is important to our fans. We want to get this going, and then people talk about it in meetings. PR people who have no idea what coding is, they don't know the difference between ones or zeros.
See,
so there's I think these are the 10. I see how the message gets skewed. I don't know. I think that people are blowing it out of proportion.
I think that this kind of thing should not happen at a company like Sony though, because Sony has been.
Yeah.
I do think that Sony has been pushing forward that everything's in 1080p on the PS4 always.
Oh.
Right? We just lost.
Yeah, it's okay. Just keep going on it.
I feel like Sony has been pushing that forward, that everything's going to be 1080p always, and I feel like people are really getting disappointed with that in terms of this generation, right? I don't know. I think that this is completely warranted. I think it sucks, but I think it. I don't know.
I think that's the issue, is that when you moved from the Xbox to Xbox 360, it was revolutionary, new controller design, new shape of the box, it was all great and stuff. This, more so, everyone was just both boxes look okay, but I'm really excited about these new graphics. And then the PR people everyone's excited about graphics. Now we have to drag this money cow all the way to wherever, and we just have to really emphasize that everything looks absolutely amazing. Now, if none of that ever happened, if all the game journalists stopped saying here's the Xbox One, here's the PS4, and I think if this probably wouldn't have been blown as out of proportion as it did, this guy probably wouldn't have been sued either if it wasn't such a graphical race.
Well, I don't think you would have a case if it wasn't, right? Because
yeah, exactly.
So many people have bought the PS4 over Xbox One just because 1080p, which you were kind of just saying.
I think it had more to do with the $100 price difference than.
I don't know, because people care a lot about that stuff, right? Especially with how much everybody's been going crazy over 1080p 60 FPS, right?
I think a lot of people in our circles, on the the vocal minority on the internet, I don't think the kids in my college dorm in my first year, or a lot of people in
but the vocal minority have a large sway, right? Because the kids in your college dorm or whatever go online, read a couple comment views, goes, oh yeah, that is important. I mean, I know not all of them. I'm not trying to dumb down the audience or whatever, but I don't know. I think that I think that this is something that is warranted for a suit and will stop this from ever happening again, which is a good thing.
And to clarify what stopping is, it's the advertising and not Killzone, because I would love to see more Killzone.
So that's fine.
I think this is advertising gone awry at a huge company, and that is something that is flat out, like, if this would have happened in any other industry, the same thing would happen, right? Like any other industry at all, period. This would happen if somebody advertises that, you know, if the new if a new car came out and said that it had like some ridiculous horsepower, and then it's like somebody drives it and just doesn't, right? Like it doesn't have that. It goes a lot slower. That's complete, you know.
Yeah.
You should be able to sue for that. Absolutely. I mean, yes, I think it's sad that it's happening, but I think this is a nice. This is a wake up call for companies that maybe have just been doing this for a long time. I don't think a lot of companies have, but it may also just be stopping something that's might start up.
I agree.
Maybe I don't think this will have much of an influence on how they advertise in the future, to be honest. Like, just from what I've seen, like from what business people, companies getting sued, a lot of them really don't care and they just continue. Because, like, again, like it's for the mainstream person, it doesn't mean anything. Like, they don't know anything about it, and they like the loss that they get from this is a lot lower than the profits they have from this loss.
But I'm talking about like how there's a disconnect between the developers and I guess the big guys up top.
No, not even just that. Just like I don't. To be honest, 5 years from now, like I don't think this will mean anything. Like not for advertisers, not for people who care about this, not for people who don't care about this. Like this will be.
No. But I just think I think that it'll force a little bit more accurate advertising, at least for the time being.
The hope.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Considering shit like this does happen all the time, not just in tech or games either. Someone's going to get caught out on their bullshit, like that hotel that was charging people $500 for negative reviews. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I actually have it open right now.
Basically, Amy's Baking Company V2, but that literally happened last year, and now this is happening, and then they apologize, and next year we're going to see it again. People are idiots, and they're going to continue being idiots.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, this may prevent people from, I guess PR folks, or whoever's fault this is, from maybe doing their research, but someone's going to slip up sooner or later, because that's what happens. Do correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, and actually, just on the topic of companies having responsibilities, we're going to move on to our last topic. So,
responsibility.
Basically, Evolve, a game that recently got into alpha, has realized now, oh man, our release date is completely inaccurate. Now we're delaying to February 2015. Nope. Can you guys still hear me?
When was it scheduled to come out originally?
October 3rd.
Oh, wow.
It's quite a pushback.
Yeah, wow.
So your actual topic was more so like, it was our delay.
So yeah, like basically, Given that a game has been provided an official release date, do you think companies are justified in delaying the game? Because personally, I've been discussing this with a friend, and it's like, it's a bit selfish on the company's part to kind of just give you a release date and then just, push the game really far back afterwards. It's like the release date has no promise anymore. When say for instance, I don't know, let's say the Evolve, for instance. You're really excited to get Evolve. They promised you October 3rd, and now it's all the way back in like February.
Well, I think so. Well, as I normally do, I'm gonna compare video games to movies and music.
Go for it.
But I'm also gonna compare video games to pretty much anything else, because I've actually run into a huge issue with release dates in a product that I want to own right now. So in movies, music, well, I guess not even really music, they have very defined release dates, right? Everybody knows what, when a movie starts being filmed, it's generally X amount of time until it comes out in theaters, right? Because movies, they have a solved development cycle. Games really don't, because games are, really, really intricate pieces of, working cogs. I mean, So when something goes wrong, and if something needs to be redesigned, it takes a long ass time to do it. And game developers work, I mean, on average, like when near release date, like 18 hours a day or something stupid.
Oh yeah.
Right? And it's they're basically worked extremely hard. And I think that the fact that we even get a delay is really nice. I personally, I like when games are delayed. I mean, I don't like it. Like, it's not like, oh, yay, this game got delayed. That's awesome. But when a game gets delayed, it makes me, especially in the case of something or Evolve, where I know where the developer is a good developer, it makes me go, okay, cool. There was a problem with the game.
Yeah.
They're going to fix it. I know I'm going to get a better game in the end. And the example was something like Duke Nukem Forever, where it's just like, okay, this game's just gonna, like, it's been delayed so many times, they're just never gonna get this fixed, right? I think delays are a necessary thing in game development. And I'm gonna compare it to something right now. Corsair is coming out with a mechanical keyboard that's RGB and stuff like that. They were slated to come out end of July, right? It is now August 6th, and there has been nothing about whether this keyboard is being released or not. All that's changed is there's been a posting on Newegg that says, please notify me when this keyboard comes out. Right? So just the fact that we're getting a delay at all, like saying like, hey, this game's not going to come out for a while, this early on, just kind of makes me go, okay, cool, because I have a bunch of products that I'm waiting on that were supposed to be released right now, and I have no press release or anything on when they're coming out. Fuck you, Corsair. Fuck you.
ROG Swift.
Yeah, like seriously, right? Like I think we're lucky in games to get, because of the way that this product is developed and what goes into developing. I think we're lucky that we get release dates so early on, and I think because of that, it just kind of gets fuzzed up, right?
Yeah. I mostly agree with what you're saying, and for the most part I do agree that delays are a necessary evil, that it kind of is, usually if there's a delay, that there's the general perception that the game should be better. Now, should be better. The reason I'm saying this is Watch Dogs, probably the most controversial game of our generation at this point, having to, okay, controversial in the sense that
most controversial game is overstating it a little bit.
This year, maybe.
Fine, this year.
Okay.
This year.
Our generation.
I'd say
holy
like
shit,
unless
Duke
you can.
Nukem
Okay.
came out.
Anyways, I'll go read a thesaurus. Okay, guys. After this, I'll read a thesaurus. So basically, Watch Dogs. Oh,
sorry.
it's okay, no worries.
Go for it.
So Watch Dogs was slated for a November release back in 2013. Yes. And
Yes, it was announced at E3 2013, was it?
E3 2012.
Oh, jeez, right. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Announced at E3 2012. Slated for a November it was slated for a November release in E3 2013. Up around August is when they realized, we can't do this anymore. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I don't think the developers are getting enough deadline to actually test the game. And I think this is starting to be a growing issue, because now when it's like, Hardline gets pushed back, Inquisition gets pushed back, Evolve gets pushed back. It's almost like it's getting to a point that when a game gets delayed, it's like, oh man, that means they're definitely making it better. It's almost like boosting game sales, like kind of. It's like the perception that whatever the game I thought of was before, or what I saw at E3, it's gonna get better now, because people on the internet raging things about what they saw online, and or maybe nothing changes and they're just trying to boost sales for the sake of the necessary evil that is a delay. Because I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition is just being delayed for a month, so it's like.
I think that game was delayed for a different reason. Because I mean, me and Andrew, we were talking.
Yeah.
October was full as.
Yeah.
Fuck. Like 3 weeks ago, like I was looking at going, all right, so I need to save up $400 for all the games coming out.
Yeah.
I think Dragon Age was literally just let's get our game out of October so we get some sales.
Yeah.
I think that's what that was.
I think. I think
different kind of delays.
I think the one thing that's interesting is that if you're going to have an alpha or a beta, I don't think it's safe for you to put a release date. Because
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think Hardline definitely, got wrecked. Everyone online was not pleased with, how little was changed in between Battlefields. So it's good that it got delayed. I'm happy it was delayed, but at the same time, there was probably someone out there who was really excited to buy it, and then
just one person.
Someone out there.
One dude, I really want Hardline. I want to be a
little old Sammy.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I think there shouldn't be a promise of a static release date. I think because I've seen so many, like The Division, for instance. Like I don't even know when that thing's coming out, and I've already pre-ordered it, and I'm not upset if it gets delayed because it's still like a rough estimate of when the release date is. So I think it's
another problem that you're able to delay a game before it has a definitive release date. By the way,
they're just like really honest.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, that's another problem in and of itself. But anyway,
fair enough. But I mean, it's still interesting to see. Like I don't know, how do you guys feel about this? I mean, I have tried out the Evolve Alpha. Unfortunately, I won't be able to share any of the information with you guys, but. Sorry guys. They made it very clear that I'm under NDA.
Break NDA on something that you're gonna post to YouTube. Do it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna be pretty acceptable. Here, I'll even show you some gameplay while I'm at it here. Yeah. But yeah,
I did it with Command and Conquer just for you.
Anyways, so this is just I don't know. What do you guys think? Should games, if they're given a static release date, do you think it's justifiable? Do you think there should be something against static release dates, and they should just kind of give a rough estimate if they're going into an alpha or beta? Like what if, like, look at Destiny for instance. What if something really bad happened to Destiny? What if Destiny turned out to be not as good as it was, and then it's a September release date, and now it's just like, okay guys, we realized something went wrong, we're gonna push it to like March or something. Like it's really dangerous to have like a alpha or a beta and then expect 2-3 months later that it's going to be it's going to be released to a full game. And I think it was Total Biscuit that pointed this out, is that now the concept of alphas and betas, it's more or less a demo.
Yeah, which is what we said.
Yeah, which is what we said also. Like,
I don't know. We said
no, he said it quite a long time ago. It was during the Titanfall beta.
I was thinking it, but I didn't put it on the internet.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on release dates, delays, and such?
This one, like, I agree more with Evan on this one. Like, I think that if I had to choose, like, if for some reason all the video companies had to come to me for permission to delay their game, I would be like 99% of the time I'd be like, because a bunch of the time it is because the game's broken. Like, so many times we get a game released and it's broken and it just doesn't work.
I can't think of how many games. Sorry, go. Sorry.
What were you gonna say?
I can't think of how many games I wish were pushed back more.
Yeah.
Right, like just be like, oh man, if this only got a month or two extra, could it have been so much better than it is now, right?
Yeah. Sometimes, but sometimes, like, at the same time, I wish that games didn't have to. I think they kind of have to. Not because they want to, but because, like, stockholders or something, like, they need to tell stockholders. They need to tell, like, don't worry, like, you'll have the money you invested in our company. It'll come back to you eventually, like, soon, or blah blah blah. And they didn't have to. I wish they kind of were more like Apple. They're like, you can E3 syndrome, where you don't want to play anything because all the great games are coming out 3 years later. Like, that kind of sucks. I kind of wish that people were just blackout, media blackout, and they're like, oh, by the way, this the first demo for Battlefield Hardline, it just went gold today. You can you'll pick it up in stores next month. Like,
anybody remember Shadow Complex? That was at like E3 2010 or whatever.
Yeah.
Microsoft showed this game and it was like, holy shit, this game looks awesome. When's this coming out? Like, it's a 2D Metroidvania, awesome game. It's just like, yeah, this will be out next month. It's like, what? What? Awesome. All right, done. Sold. I'll buy it. Cool. I was
already like, I remember when I was watching the EA conference, they're like, yeah, so Battlefield Hardline, the beta is going to be available right now. And I'm just like, oh my god, I need to run to a computer.
Yeah.
Shadow Complex looks really cool.
Yeah, that's one of the games I wish I had played on the Xbox 360.
It was really good. And that was an amazing release schedule.
Yeah, and when Sony does it, then we get freaking entwined.
Yeah.
See, I think...
But, yeah, like...
I also think, like, I'm still pretty butthurt about Watch Dogs, just because, I expected a much better game from a 6-month delay. I mean,
Yes, but so if your argument is that, I mean, so do you think that the game should have had a farther back release date, or do you think it shouldn't have been delayed?
I think it should have had it should have had a farther back release date, to be quite honest, to begin with, just to like, because it kind of looks better on you if you say, you know, we're gonna roughly estimate the release date instead of having it to be pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, you know, the fact that it pushed back, it kind of puts a bad name on the developers, you know, because I know they work hard on the games, and it makes you look even worse if the delay turns out to not work as well as you expected it to be. Like, I mean, Watch Dogs, I have a 780 Ti. I'm running, and this thing was like 40 FPS, and it still chokes. It was choppy occasionally. It made no sense.
Watch Dogs is also kind of the worst example because of a lot of other reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
what's another game that's been pushed back pretty significantly? And I mean, I said Duke Nukem a couple times. The Witcher 3 is getting pushed back pretty significant. I guess, like, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if Witcher 3 had a release date, did it?
It had a release date, not a release date.
No,
but
yeah,
like,
but see,
no,
The
but-
Witcher 3 I can justify because
well,
they were like,
it had like November.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
It was like broad. It was kind of like, you know what? They didn't really
I
tell me
think it
something
had a month.
specific.
I think. Let me check.
I know it definitely had 2014, or like maybe fall 2014 or something.
It's supposed to be soon. Find out. February
But
24th.
wouldn't that still count in terms of disappointment?
No.
Like, especially if it goes from like 2014 to 2015, because all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's broadened by potentially, like, I guess if everything goes accordingly, potentially 2 years if it's you're at the beginning of a year and then it's delayed until the next year and then potentially like December or something.
See,
Like, wouldn't that be just as bad?
See, I think the issue being is that, okay, so like last year I remember the Division had a petition where people wanted to get it for PC. So, you know, the petition went through, and then Ubisoft announced, okay, we saw what you guys wanted, we're gonna make it for PC now. Unfortunately, the Division is gonna be now delayed till 2015. That makes sense. I know what's happening. Now they have to accommodate for, like, you know, the PC version. You know, I can justify that kind of a delay. Something like Watch Dogs, it's like, you know, if they have ads, pre-order now, it's gonna come out this day, get it with the PS4, and it's just like, yeah, we take it back.
So I guess would better communication from the developers
I
be
think-
what you want then?
I think if there was a better justification, because I mean, Watch Dogs, all I got was like a blog that was basically like, this is not the game we actually intended it to. We felt it was, you know, we played it again and we thought it was boring. So my first impression is, it took you until 4 months before release date for you to play the entire game to realize it was boring. Like, I'm just like,
That I don't know. Doing software development for 16 months now at a company, it happens. I've developed like entire systems, and I like right near release I use them and I go, fuck, this thing sucks to use. Like, somewhere I lost my vision of what I want this to
Yeah,
be.
so
right?
I think sometimes you can get too close to a thing.
Yeah, and then you finally step back and go, oh fuck. Cool.
yeah.
guess this
Like,
works.
it is, at the end of the day, like, it is still disappointing to be really excited, especially, like, I think there's less now because I find that there's so many games for me to play, but when I was a kid and I had just enough money to buy like 1 or 2 games a year.
Yeah. It was like
And I was, like,
Christmas,
waiting-
birthday, and then one that you bought.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so you're like, oh, like, this is the timing is perfect, this is around my birthday, like, I can get this is gonna be awesome, and it gets delayed. Like, I can understand, even if I was like the most mature 12-year-old and I understood, like, oh yes, the developer, like, it is still disappointing. And I think, like, one of the best parts about living in today is you can find, let me finish, it's not nearly as malicious as I initially sound, but you can find, like, the head, like, creative developers of these things, and I'm sure they have a Twitter account, and it's so easy to actually get them a message, like, that I'm sure that a lot of these people read. Just send it to, like, hey, like, people, Watch Dogs people, like, I was disappointed, I'm probably not, just to make my voice heard, I'm probably not going to buy your next game out of solidarity, like, I felt kind of hurt or betrayed by this, blah, blah, blah. And I think that would do more than, like, I don't know, just talking.
I feel like this definitely is a vote with your dollars type
Exactly.
of situation, right? Where if this does piss you off, then don't buy the games, right? I know that's
Or buy them
way
used.
harder. Yeah, I know it's way harder said than done. But yeah, I think
at the end of the
delays.
day, at the end of the day, we are consumers, and the only real way we can be heard is if we stop giving them money, right?
And I think if we all stopped giving Ubisoft money, that'd be great.
Mm.
Because they could take a lot less money than they keep getting. I'm getting a death stare from Justin.
Aren't they?
No,
still
no, no. I'm not.
considered
It's not a death stare. I'm looking away because I'm probably giving the most money out of all of you guys.
You are. You really are.
Ubisoft.
It's his shameful. I look away and pretend to agree.
I don't know.
Because he has a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is I mean, if we want to kind of link this back to our initial conversation about the lawsuit, I think that this is another kind of point about companies kind of getting to do whatever they want a little bit too much. But I definitely think delays are still a necessary thing within the.
My argument isn't necessarily against delays. I love delays. The fact I hear about delay is like, oh, good, they found something. But it's more so, no. Okay, Evan.
It's a great way of wording that. I love delays. I love it when
I know,
get disappointed
I know.
and all my dreams get shattered.
Well, no,
Sometimes Justin goes to the game store and a game comes out on the day it's promised. He's like, damn it.
Fuck. This game's gonna be shit now. They didn't find something wrong with it. Fuck.
We're really mean to you today.
But I mean, like, it's like, okay, I can justify delays.
Sorry. Yeah.
Given the proper communications.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that initially it is basically a degree of false advertising.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping. Would stop is that if you're gonna have an alpha or a beta, you shouldn't have a hard release date. You should probably account for issues because that's why you're having the alpha and beta. You're not having it so that people can demo your game. You're doing it to actually break your game.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly,
sorry, I was just going to say, I think that kind of speaks to how kind of the company-consumer relationship is changing in a ways. Like before, it was kind of like, oh, we released this product and you go to your supermarket and you buy it. You go, like, we give it to a manufacturer to deliver. There's like 9 different people. It gets to the supermarket and then you buy it. Well, now in like the super open information internet era, like people kind of want to know who like we're buying things from, and companies, a lot of like super huge mega corporations sort of have to get past the idea of like, we don't hide our things. We have to have like an open community. Like we're not just a company and product. Like we're kind of a relationship with the consumer. Because so many people are like into brand recognition or brand loyalty, more than sometimes employer loyalty. Like people switch jobs all the time, but a lot of people will stick with their brand through thick and thin. So I understand what you're saying, Justin. Like having more communication would be helpful for like these kind of issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think another problem with this is also just the way that game development has kind of moved over the past generation or so, where especially, I mean, I think this Activision is pretty much companies like Activision and Ubisoft are very much to blame for this, where games are expected to come out on a yearly, if not a bi-yearly, if not yearly basis, right? And in a lot of examples, that's just not doable. So, the consumer maybe expects a new Battlefield every year, but it's like, well, we can't actually. Oh fuck! No, we can't do it. Sorry, guys.
No Battlefield this year.
Yeah, and I think that's also another point about it is that maybe just unrealistic expectations from stockholders and consumers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess as a whole, like, do you guys, just to wrap things up here, do you guys think that big publishers or companies for that matter have a responsibility to their consumer, whether it be advertising the game or given the release date?
They should be transparent. I think that's the word I would use.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yep.
Like,
but I also don't want too much transparency because I don't want to know everything about a game.
Fair.
So
Fair. That also kind of lets your competition know everything that's going on. You might not necessarily want that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
And
More
look at
than what
my-
we're getting now.
Yeah, because I mean, I just looked at I was trying to figure out when Witcher 3 was released beforehand, and the first thing I got was a huge thing of them saying like, hey, this is what we're working on because of the delay. We could release it now, but we don't want to because this will not be up to snuff, right? And they actually press released that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
I like Hardline's level of transparency. They basically said like, okay, so we realize the UI looks too much like Battlefield. We're changing that. We noticed that this game has they basically provided a change log of what they're planning on changing, and I think that's pretty cool. I'm reading the Evolve, what they're saying, and they're just like, we just need to polish the game more. I'm just like, please stop saying that. Give me something more than just that. Like, it just, I don't know. I just want hope that they'll be like, oh yeah, we demoed something at E3. We also saw something at the alpha. General perception is we want to change that. And it's something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So our conclusion is just talk to us. We just want to talk. Big giant corporations.
Game
We just want to have a
developers.
cup of coffee.
Game
snuggle a
developers,
little bit.
please. We don't talk anymore like we used to.
We used to
Yeah,
talk through
yeah.
magazines that came out on a monthly basis. Talking about.
I still have my original PlayStation magazine that came with my PS2, man.
Oh
Completely
man, I have a lot of things to say about. Anyway, we should wrap up. Yeah, this is gonna.
That was the wrap up.
Yeah.
Now we have to wrap up a wrap up.
I can talk
What's
about
our
the PS2.
outro? Lead us, Justin.
I don't know what the outro is. I still haven't figured it out yet, and I don't think we ever will.
I
This isn't
can talk
funny
about
anymore.
PS2. You can call me old.
I know, but I'm seriously. I don't know what the what can we decide on.
This
We'll work
is
on it.
great. This is amazing podcasting. Deciding on what we're going to do. Oh man,
We're being
That's
transparent with our fans.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
we haven't asked them
Finally,
to give us an
someone who
outro
gets
yet.
it.
How about we just fold our arms, and then
Wait,
just be like,
Yeah, ready?
We all need to be in frame for that. I do this.
Peace.
that's kind of weird.
Andrew just falls off.
All right,
That was
we'll
good.
just sign off then. Farewell.
You can cut
Oh,
out.
you didn't stop yet. Fuck.
That'll be the last thing
Alright.
Evan says today.
Farewell.